Cam Ward will be the Tennessee Titans' most valuable player this season. I'll tell you how many yards and touchdowns I think Ward throws for, and we'll do some other Titans awards predictions on today's edition of Locked On Titans.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. On today's show, we're going to be doing some Tennessee Titans awards predictions. I'm going to tell you why I think Cam Ward will be the Tennessee Titans' most valuable player this year. I'm going to talk about who I think will be the Titans' offensive player of the year, offensive rookie of the year, maybe the big disappointment on the offensive side of the ball. We'll do defensive player of the year, defensive rookie of the year as well. So much to discuss on today's show. Can't wait for you guys to play along with me down in the comments below or hit me up on Twitter at TikTok Titans, at Locked On Titans, on any other social media network, and let me know your thoughts. Before we dive into all of it, I do want to thank you for making Locked On Titans your first listen each and every day. Remember, Monday through Friday, Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. Make sure that you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day. Speaking of every day, shout out to my everydayers out there tuning in Monday through Friday. Couldn't do it without you guys. If you aren't an everydayer, this is the perfect time to be one. The season kicks off this week. Tomorrow, I'm going to look at the reasons for optimism for the Titans, why things might go better than I expect record-wise. We're also going to have crossover Thursday to go behind enemy lines and learn about the Broncos. A game preview. I'll be live here after the game on Sunday to break it all down. Football is back, so make sure that you stay locked in with the Locked On Titans podcast. But obviously, I don't think it's much of a hot take to say I think Cam Ward will be the Tennessee Titans' most valuable player in 2025, as any good quarterback should be for their team. But it goes further than just Cam Ward's the quarterback of the team. Like, that's the obvious low-hanging fruit here. I think when you look at how the Titans will win, when you look at what's exciting about the Tennessee Titans going forward, when you think about what the Tennessee Titans really have to build off of, I think the majority of that will come from Cam Ward. Like, when the Titans win football games this year, I think it's largely going to have to do with Cam Ward making miraculous plays. Be honest. This wide receiver group isn't that incredible. This defense might be pretty good, but could also be pretty bad. It's kind of hard to tell right now. When the Titans have games that they win, I think this year, and this may be the hot take of it all, but I think the Titans' offense might be more reliable for the Titans this year than the defense on a week-to-week basis. Like, I think the Titans' defense will be very up and down, and I think you're going to need Cam Ward to go out there every single week and give the offense an opportunity and give the team an opportunity to win by making special plays. Now, the problem with that is I think that'll be difficult for a rookie to do with the cast of characters that he has at wide receiver. But I think Cam Ward's going to answer the bell more often than he's not. So when the Titans, I talked about the Titans winning 5 games. When the Titans win those games, when they play close with Kansas City and San Francisco like I think they're going to do. I think when the good moments happen for the Titans this year, it's going to be because Cam Ward rose up and made special plays. So if he is the one that's the catalyst for most of their victories and their better performances, then clearly he's the most valuable player for them. And then as we've talked about recently, it goes further than just on the field getting things done. It's his energy, his leadership, his demeanor, the swagger that he carries about himself that can not be only felt on the field, but will be most felt off the field for the Titans. So whether we're talking about how the Titans win games this year and what they're able to accomplish, whether we're talking about how the Titans are perceived and how the locker room feels about the future going forward, I think all of that hinges on Cam Ward. I think he's going to be able to deliver this year. Tomorrow, I'll tell you how I think that resonates with the rest of the NFL, maybe a little rookie of the year prediction. But I think Cam Ward by far will be the MVP for the Tennessee Titans this year. And honestly, like we talked about last year, when I said, hey, Will Levis needs to be the MVP of this team. And he was the LVP of the team. And things went very, very poorly. So, again, if things go very, very poorly for Cam Ward, you want to look at it the other way, then that's going to just crush the team. And they'll probably be the worst team in the NFL again. But, again, I think Cam Ward is good enough to make some special plays, to make some miraculous moments, to galvanize his teammates to the small successes that I think they can have this year to build on for the future. So, to me, Cam Ward's going to be the MVP. Now, the question becomes, how many yards is he going to throw for? How many touchdowns? And I've talked about this, and I know that this isn't satisfactory to some fans, but look at Caleb Williams' season last year. Like, I think when you're looking for what a successful year could be for Cam Ward, I think that's where you look. Now, I know a lot of you guys go out there and you say Jaden Daniels. Maybe you could go out there and you say Bo Nix. But I guess it's just clear to me that the Commanders and the Broncos were much better teams last year than what I think the Titans are going to be this year. Like, I think that's the concern. So I don't think that you can expect Cam Ward to come out there statistically and have a Jaden Daniels type season, but Caleb Williams threw for 3,500 yards, 3,541. Caleb Williams had 20 touchdowns passing, 6 interceptions. I think 2 game-winning drives, or 1 game-winning drive, 2 fourth-quarter comebacks, and there should have been more in there because the Bears are so poorly coached that there were so many mistakes down the stretch of games. Think about against the Washington Commanders, the Hail Mary. Think about the Thanksgiving game against the Lions that they ruined the clock situation. So I think you look at Caleb Williams' season, and if Cam Ward is able to throw for around 3,500 yards, over 20 touchdowns. I think there might be a little bit more interceptions with a guy like Cam Ward, but he's able to lead the Titans to some comeback victories, some fourth-quarter comebacks, some game-winning drives, 3 of those. I think that's a good season. So I'm actually going to go with, and I think this is a great year for Cam Ward, and if we're comparing it to Tennessee Titans quarterback history, it's certainly a good year. I think Cam Ward throws for 3,300 yards. I think he throws for 21 touchdowns. He adds 3 touchdowns on the ground. So 24 total touchdowns on the year and 12 interceptions. I do think Cam Ward's gunslinging style, and the Titans are going to be down in a lot of games where Cam Ward has to throw the ball a lot. It's just going to give him a lot of opportunities to get intercepted. So I think 3,300 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions is what I would say for Cam Ward from a statistical projection standpoint. So that's what I'm rolling with. Let me know your projections for Cam Ward down below in the comments or hit me up on social media. Let me know your thoughts there. Again, I think Cam Ward will be the MVP of this team, but I think Calvin Ridley will be the offensive player of the year for this team. We'll talk about some offensive awards and finish with defensive awards on today's edition of Locked On Titans. Today's episode is presented by Yahoo Fantasy. The NFL season is here, folks. You can feel the buzz, and that means that fantasy football season is here as well. Everyone's researching, drafting, building their championship squads, and if you haven't joined a league yet, now's the time. It's all happening on Yahoo Fantasy. This year, I am going to be playing Yahoo Fantasy, or fantasy football on Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too, whether you're a first-timer or a veteran creating your millionth league. Look, I know I've been teasing the Locked On Titans Fantasy Football League. It is going to happen. Behind the scenes, there are some gears turning that need to turn first, and we might be kicking off the Locked On Titans fantasy football season after the Week 1 games, which with what I have planned should still work absolutely fine. But hey, the season does kick off on September 4th, so now is the perfect time to join Yahoo Fantasy Football. There are so many ways to compete with the Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine Leagues. You could play instantly with friends with the new Draft with Friends mode. If you like the classics, you could play a head-to-head private league. You could join a public league as well. The NFL season, again, kicks off on September 4th, so don't wait. Start your league now. Draft now at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. That's yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. Titans fans, let's continue today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. We're doing some Tennessee Titans awards, some Tennessee Titans superlatives. Obviously, everything is just about on the Tennessee Titans. On tomorrow's show, I'm going to do some more big picture predictions. I'm going to do some reasons for optimism, some injury updates, all that different stuff. But got some awards to get into here because it's not just about Cam Ward at the end of the day, folks, but the Offensive Player of the Year. I think it's going to be Calvin Ridley. And I talked about the statistical projections for Cam Ward. I think for Calvin Ridley, he's catching 81 passes this year. He's going to go over 1,200 yards, 1,270, and he's going to score 6 touchdowns. I think the Calvin Ridley-Cam Ward connection is absolutely fantastic. I think they're able to hook up a ton, and quite honestly, I think the Titans are going to force the ball to Calvin Ridley just like they did at the end of the season last year. And Calvin Ridley got off to a really slow start last year. I don't think that's going to be the case this year because Cam Ward and Calvin Ridley have way more chemistry already than Will Levis and Calvin Ridley did. So I think the Titans' most important offensive player this year, outside of Cam Ward, who obviously is the straw that stirs the drink, outside of Cam Ward, I think Calvin Ridley is going to be the Titans' most important player. He's going to be their offensive player of the year. And again, Calvin Ridley in fantasy leagues. Calvin Ridley in fantasy leagues. As long as he stays healthy and Cam Ward's healthy, Calvin Ridley is going to have a massive, massive year. Now, I do want to give some love to the big guys. So I think the Tennessee Titans offensive lineman of the year is going to be Peter Skoronski. I think Skoronski is going into year 3, where J.C. Latham's going into year 2. So we should expect more from Peter Skoronski. But just seeing Pete in the preseason and knowing how heady he is and how now he understands the techniques that Bill Callahan is asking for, and he understands the runs that we're looking for and the angles, and he's got better people around him with a guy like Dan Moore who, listen, I know that J.C. Latham was solid last year, but I think Dan Moore is an average tackle, and I think J.C. Latham was average to just a little bit below average in his rookie season. We heard J.C. Latham talk about all the weight that he was carrying and how he finished the season so poorly. Well, you could see that. You know what I mean? So I think Dan Moore may be a little bit better than what J.C. Latham was as a rookie. Now, J.C. Latham in year 2 at right tackle going to be way better than Dan Moore, in my opinion. That's what you're looking for. But at the end of the day, I think having Cushenberry back for the season, hopefully, and then Dan Moore, there's security there, not a rookie, a guy who's a veteran, and you let Pete be in the middle of that, and you let Pete be on those pulls where he's going across the formation and he's kicking defensive ends out, and you let him bounce back and forth between helping Cush and helping Dan Moore. He just kind of gets to be a traffic cop out there in the offensive line. I think that Peter Skoronski does take that leap to an all-pro level guard this year. I think he's going to make the Pro Bowl this year. I think he's going to be an all-pro level player, whether he gets all-pro or not, because the Titans aren't very good. I can't tell you, but I think he's going to be at that level. And I think Peter Skoronski does get a Pro Bowl nomination and a Pro Bowl spot this season. I think he's going to be the Titans' best offensive lineman. And the thing is, with that conversation, though, that means I'm not picking J.C. Latham. And I think that if you're the Titans, you actually hope that J.C. Latham is better than Peter Skoronski. That's what you have to hope for. Latham plays a more important position. He has a higher ceiling as a player, in my opinion. Peter Skoronski was the number 11 pick in a bad draft class. That's why you take a guard at number 11, because it's a bad draft class. If it's a good draft class with quarterbacks, offensive tackles, pass rushers, wide receivers, and corners, you're not taking a guard at number 11. You know, and there are some people who think you never take a guard that high ever. And I don't disagree with that I do disagree with that because I think you need to be more situational. Like Peter Skoronski was absolutely worth the number 11 pick in his draft class. And he's been better than the offensive tackles that people were going to take behind him. You know what I mean? Like a Broderick Jones, for example. So I am still perfectly happy with the pick of Peter Skoronski. But if you're the Titans again, J.C. Latham was the number 7 pick in a really good draft class, in a great draft class from 2024. All right? Olu Fashanu, however, I still hear it both ways. 2 years in, he looked pretty good for the Jets in his limited action at the end of his rookie year. We know that Joe Alt is awesome, and I know the Titans didn't have the opportunity to draft him, but Troy Fautanu looks pretty good as well. Talise Fuaga looks pretty good as well. Like, that was a really, really, really good draft class. Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. Like, it's a freak show draft class. You need J.C. Latham to turn into a top 5, top 10 offensive tackle. Like, that's what you need to happen. So, I will say that I think Peter Skoronski is the offensive lineman of the year for the Titans, and part of that is I don't think that J.C. Latham becomes that this year. I think it may take another year for that to happen. It'll be a slight disappointment, but I don't think it'll be like J.C. Latham's not a good player. I just don't think he'll be like immediately great like Slater was or Darrisaw was or, you know, guys like that. I think it'll take, or Penei Sewell. Like, I think it'll take Latham one more year to really get certified there. But for the offensive rookie of the year, the rookie wide receivers are available, of course, and I know that some would love to hear Alec Iomanner, but I think it's going to be Gunnar Helm, and I've been consistent with this since the draft. Gunnar Helm is tight end 1. And I think you look at what Gunnar Helm can do this year. I think he can catch 40 passes for 480 yards and 3 touchdowns. I think eventually the explosiveness that Chigakonkwo offers as a receiver is just simply going to be trumped by the versatility and the receiving ability of Gunnar Helm. I think when we have these conversations, and I'm guilty as well, I talk about how Helm is going to be more versatile because he's going to be able to block better than Chigakonkwo. And that's already confirmed in my mind, even from the preseason tape. Gunnar Helm is going to be a way better blocker than Chigakonkwo. He's just a way bigger guy. You know, well, way bigger is all relative at the end of the day, but he is a much bigger dude for NFL standards. So that's like the main, you know, selling point for the Gunnar Helm tight end 1 conversation. But what if I said out loud, Gunnar Helm's a better receiving tight end than Chigakonkwo right now too? He may not be as fast with the ball in his hands, but he's a better route runner. His size and contested catch ability is more valuable than Chigakonkwo's run after catch ability. Now, luckily, the Titans have both those guys, and they can deploy both of them. And I don't think it's going to be a thing where, you know, Gunnar Helm's getting 60 snaps and Chig gets 10. I don't think it's ever going to be that. They're going to be close, and they need to use Chigakonkwo. They don't have a lot of explosive weapons. He can make plays. So they got to use Chigakonkwo too, but I just think Gunnar Helm's better than Chigakonkwo at pretty much everything other than run after catch. Already, right now, better at everything. So give me Gunnar Helm as the offensive rookie of the year, and I think his stat line actually will be better than what I initially anticipated or what I was thinking, because I just think Gunnar Helm is the better tight end. Gunnar Helm isn't just a good tight end. I think Gunnar Helm is a pure number 1 starting tight end in the NFL, and the Titans will feel good about him being their starter for years to come after the season. I'm so high on Gunnar Helm, and everything we've seen in the preseason has confirmed it. Now, it's been a very positive episode. I do want to add one category in here, and it's the offensive disappointment. And at the end of the day, I think Dan Moore is going to disappoint. I wasn't a huge fan of the signing. I get that this is the best outcome the Titans could make, but I don't think that because Dan Moore played with Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, who are going to run into sacks and things like that. But you go back and look at all of them, and not all of them from last year. Dan Moore's league-leading 14, 13 sacks, depending on where you look. I don't think you could say that a large chunk of them are the quarterback's fault. He got beat on a lot of those. Now, again, the people who want to defend Dan Moore will come in with, well, he's in the AFC North, and you get Watt and Hendrickson and Garrett. Okay, well, you're going to get Josh Hines-Allen. You're going to get Will Anderson. You're going to get Danielle Hunter. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be easy. So I just think at the end of the day that the Titans' offensive line will be significantly improved. I do believe that. But I also think that we'll be leaving the season like the Steelers have the last 2 years, 3 years, saying we need a better player than Dan Moore at offensive tackle. So I think Dan Moore will give up 9 to 10 sacks this year, unfortunately. I just don't think, he's a certified starting level player in the NFL, and he's certainly not an above average starter. So I think he'll be the disappointment on offense. But I think Jeffery Simmons breaks his record for sacks this year, and I think Kevin Winston has a chance to be the biggest impact rookie on defense. Can't wait to dive into my defensive Tennessee Titans awards. Do want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Again, the NFL season is here, folks, and FanDuel is making sure that you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Again, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Why do I love using FanDuel? Well, number one, I love their same-game parlays. Not only are they so much fun to put together, but I love tracking my same-game parlay on FanDuel. The app looks absolutely incredible. You can always jump into the action at any time with live betting. It's quick, it's easy, and it's truly the best way to add a little more energy to your Sunday. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. Again, that's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Today's episode is also brought to you by Upside. Stop leaving money behind, folks. Like, if you're still paying full price for gas, again, you're leaving money behind. You can get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or on Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code TOUCHDOWN to get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas that you already need. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code TOUCHDOWN for a limited time 25 cents per gallon bonus. That's promo code TOUCHDOWN. Offer varies by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. Titans fans, let's cap off today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast, doing my Tennessee Titans awards, my Tennessee Titans superlatives for the season. Cam Ward, MVP. Calvin Ridley, Offensive Player of the Year. Peter Skoronski, Offensive Lineman of the Year. Gunnar Helm, the Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think Dan Moore will be the Offensive Disappointment. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, I really do think Jeffery Simmons has a record-breaking season for him. Now, before I explain that, I do want to thank you again for making Locked On Titans your first listen today. For your second listen, you need to check out our Locked On NFL season previews. They're on the Locked On NFL podcast feed. The episodes have also dropped here on the Locked On Titans feed. But every division winner, breakout stars, Super Bowl contenders, you get all 8 divisions in an 8-episode series with everything you need to know about the NFL season. Find Locked On NFL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. But again, I think Jeffery Simmons is going to be the Tennessee Titans Defensive Player of the Year. And the thing is, no matter what happens with the Titans this year, whether they win more games than I say, whether they lose more games than I said, whether they win the Super Bowl, whether they get the number 1 overall pick again in the draft, doesn't really matter. No matter what happens, Jeffery Simmons is going to be the Tennessee Titans Defensive Player of the Year because he is simply by far the most talented player that they have. Now, I think that Cody Barton has a chance. If it's going to be anybody other than Jeffery Simmons, I think it's Cody Barton. But at the end of the day, I think Simmons really kicks up his game. I think the weight loss and all of that, I think it gives him an opportunity to be more consistent throughout the season, stay healthier longer, have better performances late in the year. I think that Jeffery Simmons is going to have a huge huge season. I think he's going to get 9 sacks this year. Now, up to this point, his career high is 8.5. I think he'll get to 9.5. I can't quite say that he'll get to double digits. I'm not 100% certain about that, but I do think that Jeffery Simmons breaks his personal record this year, gets to 9 sacks at minimum, and I think it's a good season for Jeffery Simmons, a season that is worthy of the contract that he's getting paid right now. Now, moving away from the defensive player of the year, though, the defensive rookie of the year, I think is going to be Calvin Winston. And we got really, really good news on Calvin Winston out of practice on Monday. Winston is back out on the practice field. Everybody's good to go. We'll talk more about that on tomorrow's show, I believe. But what's most important is that Calvin Winston is going to be ready to contribute. And I think the Tennessee Titans need him because he is a playmaker. Nothing else to say about it. That's why I think he's going to be clear and away the Titans' defensive rookie of the year. Because, one, Femi Oladipo, I think, is a development project, folks. It's not going to be right away that Femi's getting a bunch of sacks and balling out right away. Like, I just don't see that. So I think from that standpoint, it's going to be hard for it to be Femi Oladipo other than the fact that, well, he's going to get a lot of opportunities. But I think Calvin Winston will get less snaps on defense, but will make more big plays. I think Calvin Winston gets 2 interceptions this year. I think he makes 2 sacks this year. He's going to make a lot of big, noticeable plays that can change games for the Tennessee Titans. So I think that's very, very important, and that's why I'm going to go with Calvin Winston as my defensive rookie of the year. Now, I wanted to add in a fun category on defense, the underrated player of the year, and I have a tie because I want both these guys to get some love. Number 1, like I said before, Cody Barton. I think Cody Barton is just going to be so outstanding for the Titans this year. It's going to feel like the Titans really have a middle linebacker that they can, build around, that can hammer down in the middle of the defense. I think Cody Barton, he's not a perfect linebacker. He's not an all-pro linebacker, things like that. But I think Cody Barton, for the price he's getting paid, I think he's just going to be such a value for the Titans. He's going to be incredibly underrated for the Titans as well, getting guys lined up, telling them where to be, and he's going to be underrated this week as he gives the Titans some inside secrets about the Denver Broncos. But I also think Roger McCreary deserves to be mentioned in this vein. We have not talked about Roger at all. Like, literally at all. All season, there's been really no conversation, no buzz, no anything about Roger McCreary. And you know why? It's because he's just so stinking consistent. He's just always good. In the slot, he's physical, come up and tackle. You let him play in the slot against guys his size. He's going to lock down in man coverage. He's going to know where to be in the zone. He's going to get his hand on passes. Roger McCreary is just one of the most consistent, solid starting players in the NFL, period. He's just super unheralded, super underappreciated, but Roger McCreary is absolutely fantastic. And I think him and Cody Barton in the middle of the Titans defense on the second level will be a super stabilizing factor. Now, the final category I have on defense is the disappointment category. And I got to tell you guys, hate to say it, but I think it's going to be L'Jarius Sneed. And here's why. Sneed, in the games that he played last year, he wasn't terrible, but he wasn't worth everything the Titans paid to give up for him. And I think that I can't trust him to stay healthy. And even if he's out there, I can't trust him to play to the level he played in Kansas City's defense. I just have a feeling that Sneed is just going to be a massive disappointment. He's going to be in and out of the lineup. Again, I can't shake the fact that I just don't see a positive end to the L'Jarius Sneed experience for the Tennessee Titans. I certainly hope that I'm wrong. I didn't know if he would be ready for week 1, and it looks like he's certainly going to be ready for week 1, and he's going to be one of my key players to watch for the Titans. A little spoiler for you guys for later in the week. But I just have a feeling that L'Jarius Sneed is just not going to live up to what it costs to have him on the team. I just can't help but shake that, or I cannot shake that feeling. I can't help but feel that way. But again, let me know your thoughts on all these awards down below. That's going to do it for me today, folks. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.